only zealots, and I would have probably lost that mothership.
And of course, it looks like I am going to lose the Nexus at my main. Not a huge detriment right now. There is a little bit of gas left in these geysers, but the minerals all gone. And this is a hero photon cannon here with 4 kills, taking down a lot of zealots before you ultimately kill it. And it looks like this sentry able to take one down as well. And my army, my thought at this point is, okay, his whole army is at my base. I'm going to try to counter. And then moving up into your base here, you do have a decent amount of units and such to deal with my army. Although I do have a lot more zealots at this point, so I am able to actually take down your primary army here. And going through this expansion, there are a lot of cannons here, so hopefully I've got enough ranged units to deal with this, although I may lose a lot of units in the process trying to take this out. At the same time, I'm trying to get this high yield mineral up here because I know that you were down here previously and had not rebuilt there yet because I saw you were building on the island here. So I was not trying to expand somewhere that would be obvious, such as my secondary expansion or anything like that. But of course, your zealots aware that I am rebuilding this base here, so they immediately come down and take out my probes and my cannons defending it. Unfortunately, not able to do a whole lot about that at this point because my entire army is invested in this attack at your main base right now, which I've been able to take out your cannons guarding your Nexus. There is one cannon left over here on the other side of the warp gates. So I'm going to be able to do a decent amount of damage, although it looks like you are going to be warping in some more zealots while these warp gates are still up and running.
Right, and my economy is actually in a pretty bad shape at this point in the game. I think I'm going to move my mothership over to my main to help defend against the attack that you have there.
And it does look like you have a decent amount of probes mining at this island base. So of course I don't have any right now because you had just taken out my main expansion over here with the zealots that you had attacked my main army with, and I am just now trying to get some probes up into this base. But unfortunately, not a whole lot going for me right now, so my income is very, very low at this point.
Yeah, I did not realize that you were in such bad shape at this point in the game.
And it looks like you've got probes transferring over to your expansion here again.
Taking a 15-minute break there.
Yeah, they're taking their smoke break. And I'm trying frantically to get my tech back up. As far as looking at the units lost screen, it looks like I am about 1,500 resources behind you on the units lost. So you at this point have got a much, much better ratio to units lost as units built than I do.
And how close is this high yield mineral patch? Looks like it has about 600 left in there. Because I know I had been mining it for a while.
Yeah, you mined about half of it out, it looks like, and I was hoping that it wasn't quite that much, but of course this is where I decided to put my expansion, so this is kind of where I had to defend it at. And it looks like your zealot's moving out now, aware that I might be somewhere else on the map, and I think that you did have a zealot come down here and see that I had an expansion down here at this point. And I'm also wishing that I could get another expansion, and it looks like you are putting another one up in my old expansion actually, so building a little bit on my home turf there.
Yeah, I didn't know if you had any offensive units at this point, so I thought maybe if I threw one over there, I'd throw you off a little bit, and you wouldn't know that it was at that point.
Right, and indeed I am not aware at this point that you have that over there, because I don't believe any of these pylons are able to see that at this point. Yeah, so this is unseen to me. And taking out the last of my tech buildings back in my main base, of course my hidden Stargate over here that I initially got that fast void ray out with. And your zealots are starting to move down to my expansion here. My last, actually it's my main base now, trying to take out my last remaining base and get me out of this game finally. And of course, you've got 2 bases at this point to my 1, although you're not mining your second one yet, but that should be kicking in here shortly after this Nexus finishes. And I desperately need to get up another expansion here before you take me out.
And what's your strategy at this point? Are you trying to tech up? Are you just trying to defend this thing? Obviously, your back is against the wall.
At this point, I know that you've got these zealots outside of my base because I had this Phoenix fly by you, so I'm aware that your army is here. But at the same time, I know that you've got the mothership along with all of your zealots. So the problem is I need range to deal with the mothership, but I also need ground units to deal with the zealots. So unfortunately, I'm in a tough spot right now with trying to get the right combination of zealots versus cannons and stalkers so that I can deal with both forces effectively. And unfortunately, I don't think I'm able to produce enough of either one of them, but we will see here hopefully in just a second as you are just finishing massing up, it looks like.
Yeah, exactly. I probably should have attacked you a little bit earlier. I was concerned that you would have, you do have a large amount of defense there, but you didn't a few minutes ago.
Right, I built these cannons up rather quickly once I saw that you were coming after me with all those zealots. And of course I do have the observer here, So I am aware that you have all of these zealots, and I can see them despite the fact that you've got the mothership over them right now, which is a huge help to me because I obviously with that many zealots, I am not going to be able to focus fire that mothership down. And casting the vortex right on top of my stalkers, it looks like I still have one of them out right now, but of course one stalker not going to be enough to take down that mothership. And those zealots are going to be able to take, nope, not quite, they just ran off of that. And it looks like we're going to have a last fight here. That mothership focus firing down my stalkers, but able to hold this off with all the cannons that I have in my base. Unfortunately, that is not going to be enough to take out this mothership because all of my anti-air is gone. At least my mobile anti-air. I have a few cannons left, but of course you are wisely putting your mothership out of my cannon's range.
Yeah, and one thing that you probably noticed with that vortex is that it does suck in friendly units as well, and that's one thing that hurt me there. The majority of my zealots got sucked into that vortex and spit out right in front of your cannons, where they quickly died.
Right, that charge ability is so useful in many situations, but obviously when they were charging around the gateway here to get to the stalkers that were behind it and to the cannons, that vortex was sucking them in. So they unfortunately got sucked right into the middle of this cannon defense, like you mentioned, and didn't have much of a chance after that. At this point, it looks like you are harvesting very healthily off of that first expansion, and this second one getting underway very well. So your economic advantage is continuing to increase. Although looking at the units lost layover that we still have here, and it looks like our friend Scott writing GG 413 even though the game is not over. But looking at the units lost overlay, I have actually started to catch up in that just a little bit. So I'm starting to see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, but I'm going to need to get another expansion up and fast if I'm going to be able to stay in this because this base is nearly out of minerals. And it looks like I'm throwing up some cannons trying to kill this destructible debris so I can get this last little island. I'm hoping that with how many zealots you have, this choke will be easy to defend against your zealots, but it looks like you're moving in for another attack here, and I don't know if I've got enough to hold this one off.
Yeah, having those gateways in front of your cannons was very key. It was keeping me from having a clear path to those cannons, and with those gone, I was able to take those out a lot quicker than normal.
Yeah, and I did mention this earlier. I mentioned glad to see you're branching out because this was absolutely 13's favorite strategy in StarCraft 1. He loves zealots, and no matter, I know that he mentioned earlier that he likes to do that against Protoss because it's not as viable against Terran or Zerg in StarCraft 2, but in StarCraft 1, he loved mass zealots no matter what race he was against. So unfortunately, that was able to take me down this game. So we are at 1-1 right now. What do you think about that, 13?
Well, I'm obviously not feeling too good about it because you've played Protoss 2 games, which is your weakest race, and I was hoping that if that happened, I'd be up on you 2-0, but I'm only 1-1. So I don't think I've done as good as I could have against you.
Well, of course, we've got a tiebreaker match coming up. We do not have time to play that tonight, so this is going to be continued. So hope you guys, you enjoyed these games. We'll be getting up the last of the best of 3 series, and who knows, maybe we'll continue it after that if everybody seems to think that these games are fun to watch. Anyways, thanks again for watching, and GG.
GG.